Hello, everybody. As I'm winding down here, trying to just convey information to you, and if it helps you down the road, in this particular case with potential management jobs, awesome. If you just want to pull up some popcorn and peanuts and a soda or beer and just listen to me babble on and laugh and thank God I'm gone, cool. That's good too. But anyway, you know, many of you have heard me lament the lack of vision that we have from upper level administration, VPs, president, I'm talking about in particular over the years. And so about 2018, because I was so frustrated, I decided I would just kind of write my own and just make myself happy. So I actually borrowed some strategic goals from Contra Costa College, their overall strategic goals, and it was attached to a vision, of course, but it was very coherent. It was very nicely done, I thought. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use this as a template, and then really get down more to the level. So you have the strategic goals of the college, then you have the DVC Student Services objectives, and in here I have a 13-point plan with relevancies to the California's vision for change. So I'm going to kind of go through that with you. So one of their strategic goals was CCC, but DVC will increase student success and make progress toward equitable outcomes. I think all of us are very supportive of that goal. But first, there are some student service objectives that we need to accomplish. One is establishing baseline research, and that's what your data group is doing right now. We've all been working with Lindsay to try to create a model where we're going to have some baseline data. For those students who seek counseling, I'm just going to be talking to Lindsay. She's going to look to expand it to the other student services areas too, because we used to do this, and it's just sad that we've lost sight of this. Student outcome data, then we can compare students who use our services with students who don't and what their outcomes are. And it'll be somewhat of a measure of our success, but also possibly our equity gaps. And then it relates to the vision, the statewide vision 4 and 5. You can look that up on your own. Identify and assess current efforts to impact equity in student outcomes. Okay, what are we doing? I mean, we used to have a lot of equity money that went out for random programs. I mean, they were random programs, not coherent programs that were really designed to reduce the equity gap. Unfortunately, some of them were, some of them weren't. But are we assessing those efforts? And what are the results of those efforts? One of the things I used to do in DSPS a lot is we'd get the research, and then we would look at the data and see where there were gaps, and then we would try to design specific services and resources to supply those services in order to try to impact the equity gap. We would assess them. If they didn't work, it was no big deal. We would say, okay, that was well intended. It didn't work. How can we make it work? And then move on and keep trying. Creating clear pathways and intrusive counseling and advising towards specific goals. I think most of us are doing that now, especially based on the outcomes-based funding that's coming down our way. So I think we're in good shape there. So that's great. Strengthen community relationships and partnerships. Definitely have some ideas about that. One of the things I don't think we do a very good job of as a college is look at our core messaging. So review the marketing, outreach, and liaison messaging to create really and ensure constancy of talking points. We really need to come up with some sort of a very clear way of communicating to our community, to our high schools, etc., so that they start using that same terminology when they're talking to parents and students in terms of why students should attend DVC or whatever message we're trying to convey. I think everybody's randomly talking about whatever. And I don't think that's really effective because people are hearing multiple messages and they don't know how to respond, or they just get confused or think that we're confused. Encourage high school and college faculty to articulate curriculum better for English and science and math. This happened a lot with math and English back, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And those departments did a really nice job. Science courses, though, not so much, but that might be something that we could maybe do a better job of articulating, like prerequisites for certain science courses, etc. And probably reestablish counselor and administrative liaisons to feeder high school counselors and principals. Again, something we used to do. It was very effective. The high schools were really happy with developing relationships with us. And I'll be damned if it didn't increase enrollment. How about that? We lost sight of that when a certain president came on board and cut the administrative liaisons, and then when someone took over for me and then was over outreach and cut the high school counselor liaison. She thought it was just outreach's job, which is definitely a perspective. But to create relationships with peers, it's the high school counselors and DVC counselors that could be very effective. And Justin mentioned this in a meeting many years ago, and I thought, well, maybe this is going to pick up again, but it just kind of died. But Skyline College does this with counselor liaisons, and I think Justin was documenting the reasons that this would be a good idea, and it still is a good idea. Same with administrative liaisons. Promote innovation, create a culture of continuous improvement, enhance institutional effectiveness. Again, you need baseline data. And if we're going to shoot to destroy equity gaps, which should be our ultimate goal, I would think, so that everyone's performing in our colleges, then we need data first. And then we just need to design programs around the gap, not just randomly come up with a program and then hope it meets the equity gap. Very different mindset there. Encourage bold ideas, initiatives, and goals, incorporating ideas from all student services employees. And then take risks without fear of penalty, and the administration has to buy into this for sure. That we may be spending a lot of resources on something, we think it might have a really profound impact on the equity gap, and then it doesn't work. It's like crap. So we learn from that and then move forward with more bold ideas and initiatives to try to impact the gap. This is kind of this. I laugh every time I see this. Ask deans to work with managers to continue building an online services infrastructure to be ready on July 1st for a major push in offering online degrees. Well, I should have said ask COVID to help us with that, because that's exactly what it did. I think we should push instructional departments and faculty to have online degree options for students in all of their courses. So that may be a slight modification of this push. This was in response to, at the time, the community college, Governor Brown wanted to initiate a online community college, which was going to pull enrollment from all the colleges. And consider a new inclusive motto. This is one, culture of caring, but something. But this might be, that outreach, marketing, communications group comes up with something that's a little more catching than some of the other little catchphrases we've been coming up with over the years. Effectively optimize resources to support student learning and success. This is my thing, my educational planning guides. I know most people look at them and go like, what the hell is that? I get it. And I guess that's just the way my mind works. But anyway, creating some very efficient educational planning documents or support so that we can, more consistently be accurate in our planning. I think we all want that, and we all hate it when we make mistakes. And these ed plan guides, I have made, I guess I was telling Hideo the other day, I think I made 3 mistakes in the 10 years, but I attributed that few of mistakes to the educational planning guides. Also, bold, intrusive effort to reach out to our community and simultaneously support the DVC online degrees. So we went into that already. But the concept was expanding offerings to working adults. to make it much more convenient for them to take classes and get degrees. International students, the reduction of international students at DVC has been devastating to our finances. We've lost 900 students in the last 8 years, maybe. I don't know exactly the timeline on that, but we used to have 1,600 students. Now we have 590 students in a semester. Not good. And for every 100 students, that's roughly $1 million to the college yearly. So loss of 900, in a year means loss of $9 million in a year, or $18 million over 2 years, because those students graduate and they stay around for 2 years. So the way that works is at absolute max, about half the money that comes from international tuition goes to expand the college course schedule to accommodate the students. In most cases, when we did the research on that, it looked like international students filled classes because there may be 1 or 2 per course section, except in certain classes like physics, advanced chemistry, mathematics, where we expanded sections, which also has a benefit to American students in that it creates more options for them. So it's probably more like 80%, or no, about 20% of the international tuition goes to expand the course schedule, and 80% is more profit. Again, as we get more international students, we need to support them. So I proposed, funding formula for that. So again, conservatively, 35% of international revenue coming back to the college can be used for meeting equitable student outcomes, for programs to support equitable outcomes. So we can use that money effectively for the college and our goals. So, bold, thoughtful, decisive action. This was not Contra Costa, this was mine. But again, moving to outcome-based funding, guided by the Vision for Success. If you haven't seen it, look it up. I think it's good for you to be familiar with that. And at least you could use that as a departmental vision if we're not getting one from upper administration, and create our own vision and goals. But assert ourselves into the community, consistency of core message, intrusive counseling and advising, and really creating case management approaches to connect with students. We've done a lot of that in some areas. There could be some more work done in that area. And we have some programs. They tend to be course-based programs, maybe not as case management as with additional funding we might be able to incorporate. And these would be things like setting up with a cohort of students, like a mass registration week event or something, to make sure students are registering in a timely manner into their courses. We know students who register early do better in classes. They get the best instructors at the best times. So we know that works. And so we need to make sure, relative to students within our equity gap, that our students are registering in a very timely manner. And if they can't, we need to help them troubleshoot solutions so that they can. So one of the quotes I really like from James Cameron. But we have to work to increase both equity of access and student outcomes. And a lot of it starts at the top with a vision, with a clear message that this is what you guys are going to be doing, and we need and to do that. Now, again, we can do it from our level up. It's just more effective if the whole college is on board. Instruction, student services, even central services, because every single employee has the capability of recruiting students. And that's why that core message back in the previous slide, I think, is so important, is that if we can come up with an elevator speech that every single employee is to memorize, and so anyone talks to them about DVC, we can communicate our core message to a lot of people. We have 1,000 employees or so at DVC. Can you imagine how enrollment could increase if one person can encourage one new student? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and about to run out of time here. So you can always let me know if you have any questions about it, and yeah, hope you enjoy it, especially if you're into management. Bye.